Vietnam develops new XTC-03 wheeled infantry transporter. Vietnam has developed a new 8x8 amphibious armored personnel carrier prototype, the XTC-03, built by the Vietnam defense industry as a domestically designed replacement superior to the Russian BTR-80 series. The XTC-03 represents a significant step in Vietnam's effort to reduce dependence on Soviet and Russian legacy equipment while building indigenous armored vehicle design capability. The prototype weighs 16 tons and is powered by a V8 engine producing 351 horsepower, giving it a top road speed of 80 kilometers per hour. Its amphibious capability allows river crossing and littoral operations without preparation, an important feature for Vietnam's geography of rivers, coastlines, and delta terrain. The front-mounted engine layout frees the rear of the vehicle for troop carriage and dismounting, with 8 soldiers able to exit through rear doors, an arrangement that keeps infantry away from the engine compartment during dismount operations and reduces the vulnerability of troops exiting the vehicle under fire. The turret configuration sets the XTC-03 apart from its BTR-80 predecessor in firepower terms. A 2-man manned turret mounts a 30mm autocannon based on the 2A42 design, the same cannon used on Russian BMP-2 infantry fighting vehicles, and a weapon with an established record of effectiveness against light armored targets, aircraft, and personnel. The fire control system includes a gunner's thermal imaging system supplied by Viettel and a commander's independent thermal viewer. The CITV is associated with an anti-UAV remote-controlled weapon station developed by the Military Technical Academy. That combination gives the crew the ability to detect, identify, and engage targets at night and in adverse weather conditions, and the commander's independent viewer allows the commander to search for new targets, while the gunner engages a current one, a capability that substantially increases the crew's situational awareness and combat effectiveness compared to older systems without independent viewing channels. The protection architecture reflects current thinking on layered vehicle survivability. Base armor meets STANAG Level 42 protection, covering threats from armor-piercing rounds up to 145mm caliber at specified ranges, with optional applique armor available for mission-specific threat environments. Mine resistance is rated to STANAG Level 2, providing protection against blast mines of defined explosive content. The optional applique armor provision is a practical design choice that allows the base vehicle to remain within weight limits suitable for amphibious operations while giving commanders the ability to add protection when the threat environment warrants the additional weight penalty. Comparing the XTC-03 directly to the BTR-80 illuminates how far Vietnamese defense industrial ambitions have moved. The BTR-80 is a capable but aging design first fielded by the Soviet Union in the mid-1980s, with 145mm and 762mm armament. Modest fire control and protection levels that modern anti-armor threats have rendered increasingly marginal. The XTC-03's 30mm main gun thermal fire control, STANAG protection levels, and independent commander's viewer place it in a substantially higher capability tier. Closer to modern wheeled infantry fighting vehicles than to the personnel carriers it is intended to replace, the decision to benchmark against and surpass the BTR-80 rather than simply replicate it signals that Vietnam's defense industry is aiming for relevance to current threat environments rather than incremental improvement over existing inventory. Vietnam's defense industrial base has been developing with deliberate intent over the past decade, driven by a strategic calculation that reducing dependence on any single foreign supplier is essential for a country navigating complex relationships with both Russia and the United States. Russian equipment has dominated Vietnamese ground forces for generations, and the disruption to Russian defense exports caused by the war in Ukraine and Western sanctions has given additional urgency to programs that develop domestic alternatives or diversify sourcing. The XTC-03 fits that context directly. A domestically designed and built 8x8 armored carrier equipped with Vietnamese fire control electronics from Viettel provides a platform whose production and sustainment are entirely within Vietnamese control. The Viettel involvement is particularly significant as an indicator of how Vietnam's technology sector is being integrated into defense programs. Viettel is not a traditional defense contractor. It built its reputation as a telecommunications operator before expanding into technology development, including defense electronic satellites, and now vehicle fire control systems, having a Domestic companies supply the thermal imaging and fire control suite for a new armored vehicle prototype means that the most capability differentiating subsystems on the XTC-03 are not dependent on foreign supply chains, export licenses, or the political relationships that govern access to foreign military technology.